Hey, what's up you guys? This is week 3 of treadathon. I hope everyone's having a good week. I hope you've been reading some great books. I know I have. I was hoping to have read a little bit more by this stage in the readathon, but this is realistically how much I was going to read because I only really read about one book a week if I'm lucky these days. So even though I was hoping to read 9 books in 4 weeks, I didn't really fully expect to. But on Monday there, so this is Tuesday, I'm filming this, Monday I finished Ring. I talked about this last week quite a lot. Started it last week and finished it yesterday, and I really loved this in the end. There are some very big differences in kind of the way the mystery is revealed that obviously I don't want to talk about because it's spoilers, and I don't want to spoil the movie or the book. But if you are just curious about what changes there are between the book and the film and you don't plan on reading the book, go on Goodreads and read the most popular reviews because they all kind of talk about it very blatantly. So I'm glad I didn't read those before reading the book. But yeah, if you don't know, this is a Japanese book that was turned into the very famous horror films Ringu and then the American version The Ring, and it is about a detective who watches a cursed videotape and then has 7 days to work out the meaning of the curse, the background of it, and what he can do to break it, because at the end of the 7 days, you die. So I love this so much. I think my thoughts hadn't really changed since last week. Pretty much stayed consistent the whole way through. I love the whole plot. I didn't really care for the characters that much. They're not very nice men, the two main protagonists, but the mystery is so interesting that it keeps you enthralled, even though you don't really care about the characters. Well, the main one, I didn't care if he lived or died. The friend, not at all. But I did want him to survive. And I just loved the way that we uncovered all of the different plot threads and the way that everything kind of naturally built onto each other. And it was just a really fun, fast-paced read. This is the type of book where, like, if you wanted to, you could read this in one day. If you just sat down and you were dedicating a day to reading a book, you could fly through this, because every time I picked it up, I did not want to put it down. I basically read this in like 3 big sittings for the most part, because it's just a really fun, addictive book. And I'm going to read the sequels at some point, not this month, but I will get them eventually, because I'm interested in seeing where they go, because I know the sequel films a little bit less, and then also the films. There is a film that's based on the second book, but then it didn't do it very well, so then they made like another Ring 2 and just ignored that one. It's called Spiral, and then just like made up their own one in the film universe. So I'm interested to see where the plots go for the sequel books, but yeah, I enjoyed this. I would recommend it. There are some weird elements that I don't really want to talk about without spoiling it, because I don't know. I just don't want to talk about it. So if you're curious about like weird things that might upset people, go on Goodreads because people talk about it there. But yeah, I enjoyed this quite a lot. And the next book I'm going to read this week is this X-Men Penguin Classics collection. I love these books. I talk about them all the time. This is the last one that I own that I have to read. There's 6 in total, and I have never read any X-Men comics, I don't think, so this will be a really interesting experience. I love the X-Men films and characters and stuff, but I have never actually read the source material, so this will be interesting. This is obviously a lot of their very early stories and things like that, so I'll update you on this as we go. Tonight I'm going out for dinner with family again. It's my aunt's 17th birthday, so we're going to go out for some dinner and some drinks, and then I'm basically not going to read today, but tomorrow I hope to read. I have some films I want to watch as well tomorrow, but hopefully I get as good start on this tomorrow, so I will update you once I have read a little bit of this. Hi, so yesterday I read the introduction to this and the first 2 stories that are collected in this edition, and I have really enjoyed them. I really appreciate the introductions in these Marvel classics because they really contextualize, you know, the history of the company at the time that these specific characters were created, and then also like what was going on in America. You know, there's a lot of parallels between the X-Men and civil rights with different groups, you know, the black civil rights, gay civil rights, a lot of different things like that. And they discuss that quite a lot in this introduction, which is always interesting. And they say how that isn't really present as much in these initial classic comics, but the kind of blueprint for where that is expanded on in later years is definitely there. And it also points out something I don't know if I'd picked up on my own, but there's like a formula to each comic, and I find that quite interesting because once you're reading it with that in your head, you're like, wow, they really do have that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the introductions. They're always really interesting. And then the first two comics, they have X-Men #1, and then they skip to X-Men #3. X-Men #1 was interesting because it right away had them versus Magneto, and I always find it interesting to see which villains have kind of stood the test of time. And you know, obviously with the film series, Magneto is in like almost every film. Even if he's not the main antagonist of that film, he is still present in the stories. He's like a major character. And then X-Men #3 was versus the Blob, who is basically an unknown character to me. I'm sure he has a cameo in one of them. I feel like it's like X-Men Origins Wolverine. He quickly appears, but he is the opposite of Magneto, where he hasn't really stood the test of time, and no one really knows who he is if you're not a comics fan. Which, I mean, I would call myself like a casual comics fan. I have read things like this, and I've read graphic novels and comics here and there, but I don't know like all the deep lore of like the Marvel universe. So the Blob is someone that I very vaguely kind of like, I think he was in one film for like 5 minutes. Iceman is a main member of the team, like right from X-Men #1. He is there. He is one of the original four before Jean Grey comes in the first comic. And he is, again, such a background player in the films, which he does have really cool powers, and they make really good use of his powers in the comics. And something else that I love is that because they're working as a group, the comics all feel very different, whereas with some of the like Spider-Man ones I've read and stuff, and Black Panther, obviously their powers are more limited, whereas because here you have a whole group of characters, the way that they work together, combine their powers, some of them get knocked out and others have to take the lead sometimes, stuff like that. I really enjoy that. Something else that is funny is that Jean Grey, I always found it funny that her character doesn't really have like a secret identity. Like she's always just known as Jean Grey, and then she's like the Phoenix, but that's more of when she's like taken over by that magical power in some of the films, and then obviously in the comics. But in the first one, she's introduced as Marvel Girl, which is such a lame name compared to everyone else. Like, I mean, no one's name's that inventive. They have Cyclops, Angel, Iceman, Beast, which also Beast is not blue in these original comics. He's like an actual human. So that is strange. I'm interested to find out when that switched. So Jean Grey is just called Marvel Girl, which is so lame. And I'm glad they kind of dropped that because, I don't know, it's just boring. I mean, you also have like Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. I don't really mind them as much, but something about Marvel Girl just feels dumb to me. I'm enjoying it so far. It's very fun. Take a shot every time I said the word interesting in this little mini review, but yeah, I'll report back when I've read some more. We had a really nice day yesterday going to Andrew's friends to do a like housewarming party, and it was a like afternoon housewarming, so you know we just played board games and stuff, and I got Andrew this Scream game for his birthday, which we took and we all played together. It was absolute chaos, but it was so much fun. I highly recommend it. It takes a second to kind of get your head around the rules, but it's one of those games like once you kind of get it and it clicks, it's actually quite simple. But yeah, you'd have this app on your phone and Ghostface phones you and like threatens the players like as you're going around the board, and it's everyone working together against Ghostface, and it's just a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend that if you are into like board games and card games and stuff, because it was just a really fun game. I've now read up to page 134 of this, and that takes us up to volume 8 from the original X-Men run. They do skip some here and there, but for the most part it's pretty consistent. And the most exciting thing about these volumes I just read yesterday, well last night, are that Wanda and Pietro are introduced. So obviously they are the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and if you are a fan of the MCU, you probably love these characters. And obviously Quicksilver was more important in the kind of X-Men films, but Scarlet Witch, Wanda, is like the queen of the MCU. Like, she is a fan favorite character, so it's really fun to see their origins and their first appearances. And they are introduced as kind of part of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but straight away from their first appearance, they're not really wanting to be there. It's very clear they're not actually evil. Wanda just owes Magneto a debt, so that's why they're there, and their story is going to be so interesting to follow throughout these, because the X-Men know they don't really want to be there, and they keep trying to convince them, like, come work with us, and they're like, we can't. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on there. It's really fun. And again, the art in these is just so fun and vibrant. I just love how colourful these original comics are, and the art style is usually quite simple and straight to the point, but it's just so bright and colourful and fun to read, you know. A lot of modern comics I've read, some of them are just like so dull and grey because they're obviously trying to get through like darker atmosphere and tone to the story, but these are just so lighthearted, and even when there's like serious things going on, you know, like world changing events almost, it's all just done with a cheerful, light-handed touch. So that's why I really love these classic original comics. But yeah, it was really fun to see the origins of Wanda, especially. I just love her so much. And Agatha, last night's episode was so good. If you're watching it, let me know down below. Can't remember, I feel like a couple of people said they were. It's just such a great show. It's so different from a lot of other MCU shows, but I just love it. So yeah, reading is going well. I'm going to read some more today, and tonight me and Andrew are going to see Blood Brothers, which is a musical, and I know nothing about it. It's the opposite of last week. Last week we seen Hairspray, and that's like my favourite film ever. I know every song. This week it's a complete mystery to me, but that's going to be fun. So yeah, I'll take you along for that as well. And we're also going to see Salem's Lot in cinema, which is a Stephen King adaptation, which I have never read his book of Salem's Lot, but I know it's about vampires invading like a small town, so that'll be fun. I've heard mixed things about the film. I've heard some good, heard some bad, but isn't that every film really at the end of the day? So yeah, it's going to be a good day, and I'm hoping to get some more of this down as well. So I'm here with some reading updates for the X-Men, and then also to end this video. So I am enjoying this so much. I have read up to page 234 today, I believe, and that takes me up to volume 38, because they have done the thing that they always do in these, which I know it's coming, but it annoys me every time, is they skip quite a lot of volumes because they don't think it's really worth putting in the book. But some of the ones they've skipped, because they always give you a description. So here's one for when they skipped issues 9 to 13. And they talk about like what went on in those comics and kind of the real life, what was going on in Marvel at that time. But issue 9 that they've skipped is the first time that the X-Men crossover with the Avengers, and that sounds like such a fun comic, and I would love to read that one, so I'm a bit annoyed that they skipped that. I don't know why they would, because it sounds really good, just from the description they gave, and it's also like the first time it's their crossover, so I don't know what the decision making was there, but that was kind of annoying. And then later on, they skip from issue 16 to issue 38. So that obviously talks about here, it's called the middle years. Yeah, those ones, I don't know. I mean, they would be fun to read, but I'm not that gutted because they don't really go into as much information. But the Avengers X-Men crossover would be so fun, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. But the comics I did read today included a 3-issue big event where they met the Sentinels for the first time. The Sentinels are these like robots that are designed to destroy mutants, and they're like super powerful. So that was really good, and I liked that it was a 3-issue event because it meant that there was a lot of character development. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of different like information uncovered, and characters debating over what to do, because some characters get knocked out as usual. But it was really fun because it was over 3 issues, so it really gave some breathing room, and it didn't feel rushed at all. It was like a really fun story to read, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, I'm just enjoying this quite a lot. I would love to finish it tonight, however, I am not going to, and it's already quite late. It's Saturday night, and I'm working tomorrow, so I'm not going to take this to work. I'm going to start this tomorrow in work. It is Cawthon Comes to Harlem by Chester Hims. This is like a detective mystery novel, because I don't really want to lug this big book around to work, because obviously it's pretty big. So yeah, I'm going to start this tomorrow, and I'll hopefully finish this over the next couple of nights. I'm working Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, so I'm not going to be able to vlog those days at all, because I literally work the entire day. When it's a work day, it's like a full day. So that's not very good for vlogging, but it is what it is. So yeah, next time we speak, I will hopefully finish this and hopefully make some good progress on this. I will maybe try and film some quick updates like when I come home from work, if I've read a decent amount of this, but you'll find that out in the next vlog, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It's been a fun week. I have been off this week because I had to take some holidays just because of like that play and stuff. And like I said, when I'm working, it's like an entire day. So if I have a bit plans, even in like the evening, I kind of need to do like a holiday, which is a little bit annoying sometimes, but it is what it is. So yeah, I've had a really good week off, but I haven't read as much as I wanted to again, which is just this story of these vlogs every single week. I'm like, I wanted to finish this, but I didn't. I always finish the books on a Monday, so I always start the next vlog with like the ending of the last vlog, but it is what it is. So yeah, hopefully I finish this soon, make good progress in this, and hopefully you will be here to see it. And the next vlog as well, I'm going to decorate for Halloween. That'll be coming up. I'm going to go get some new decorations. I already have a box of like stuff from previous years, so we'll do all that. That'll be fun, Halloweeny, and yeah, it'll be a good time. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please subscribe, let me know your thoughts on X-Men, the comics, the characters, the films, anything at all. When you think they're going to join the MCU officially, although they pretty much are officially in the MCU now, they've appeared quite a few times, but I'm excited to see like the new X-Men instead of just the Fox X-Men, but I'm assuming that'll be a couple of years down the line still. So yeah, I'm rambling now at this point. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.